high-speed chase. Feel my blood rush running. Staring at your mouth, thinking about if you know what you've done. Just watch my mind go wild. A pack of wolves inside, tearing through my chest so loud. Can you hear my heart right now? This is bigger than a crush. Embers falling around me. Really think this could be love. Ooh, only one I'm thinking of.
Beautiful. Brain is like all over the place. All right, man. How you doing? Are you able to speak? Hello. Anyone there? I don't think I can hear him.
All this work, so bear with me.
Very good. Uh, You know, we're dropping games like crazy right now. All right, there we go. Make it a little bit better now. What are you typing for?
I'm just messing around.
All right, that works. Alrighty. So I've known this guy for a little bit now. He's been with me in this apartment for almost, I think, 6 months now. Has it been, right? Jesus. Yeah, see, I'm dropping frames like crazy. Oh, they don't see it. They won't be able to. I have it set up to where it's just our profile pics. I believe right now at this point. So. Okay. Maybe I should check the, Okay, we'll get rid of that. That definitely does work. Okay, cool. Yeah, might have to reset computer, but we're already started, so we can just keep on going. But yeah, I guess I'll go first as far as my story and everything. Yeah, so what happened? Where am I at? And what have I done? All right. Could be a good old story, I guess. I started back when I was around maybe 6, or actually no, yeah, probably like 8 years old was when everything really started. My father, my mother, everyone around me decided, oh yes, let's go ahead and split up. You know, just because why not? 66%. Okay, yeah, this is getting really weird. Who cares? All right. Started a while ago. Everything happened. Parents divorced, stuff like that. Obviously, I got into the little habits of going out and trying different things, such as obsessing over clothing items, history, stuff like that. So I believe fully that I've always been like this. Um, and a couple of years passed, and obviously things weren't going my way. Um, Started resenting a lot of people, including family members, stuff like that. And for a little bit, I thought I was going to be complacent. I thought I had a lot, but it wasn't actually the case. So after a couple months after when I turned 18, I found pot, which obviously I thought, oh yeah, the cool shit. You know, people, kids are doing it, whatever, stuff like that. I actually discovered it when I went over to my sister's house. I think it was like 14 or 16. I can't remember really because I was too fucked up back then. And partook in that for a little bit. Decided, oh wow, this is my miracle drug. So I dabbled in it for the next couple years until after I was 18. College, did that for a little bit. And then obviously I was still soaking pot, so it was knee. Yeah, so we are dropping frames like crazy. Okay, might have to look. Lived there for a little bit. A couple of mishaps. Obviously, during that time, I was still smoking pot. You know, while working at this local diner that I had, and obviously things started even going worse after me finding booze in my mom's cabinet, drinking that, fucking putting it up, stuff like that. And for a time, I thought I was doing well. In fact, I wasn't. Um, so after that, I started. I already drank my mom's booze, so all of those were empty bottles just in her cabinet. I started getting into stuff like medical grade alcohol or the shit that they put in hand sanitizer. Started drinking that. Almost died. I had to go to the hospital due to that scenario because by that time I actually quit my previous job and I went to another job, which absolutely sucked. And during that time, I was just booze in, booze out, 24/7. And that's when I had my first intervention, and obviously, the first intervention's not always going to be the last intervention. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do this to show my parents. So I went to a rehab facility, or should I say, outpatient facility for about 3 weeks. And during those 3 weeks, I was doing the Haley tactic, or the California Haley tactic, where I wouldn't drink, but I would still do pot because thinking that was more of a healthier option. Obviously, it wasn't the case. And then 3 weeks afterwards, I was like, well, I don't need this. Just do my own thing. F rehab, F being sober. I'm still doing pot, and I feel lazier than ever. I feel more depressed, so I went back to drinking. Um, and then after that, oh yeah, before I forgot, during that time, I actually got kicked out of my parents' house due to just my obsessive drinking. She gave me an ultimatum. Basically, I could stay sober and live with her, or I could do my own thing, and I chose the other path. So I went and lived with a family friend. They had a little shed in the back that I would, sleep in. So I lived in that shed, paid about $600 a month, and worked at a mail store, not a mail like sex store, but just like a mailing service. I think it was UPS or some shit like that. Um, then after that, obviously, as I turned 21, I think it was 21 around that time. That's where the real stuff started hitting, and I was able to buy booze and whatnot, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have this ability now to go and drink whenever I want. No one can stop me because I'm of age. So, um, while working at UPS, they had this local CVS around the corner, and I would always get like the withdrawal symptoms like almost every single day. It was absolutely miserable. So on days where I would get those withdrawal symptoms, um, I would go to CVS, buy me two of those big boy or big canned White Claws, empty out a 7 Up bottle for some dumb reason, and just pop it in there and just drink that the rest of the day. And that didn't last very long. I think I only worked there for about 3 months before I had to basically remove myself. They found out that I was doing it because of one day I actually did that and I passed out on the toilet for about 2 hours. They told me to go home. I was like, okay. And I felt so embarrassed about it that, I basically just quit the job then and there. Put 2 weeks notice in, just kind of then and there. Uh, I kind of dropped everything. Um, and then at that point, um, I went to my grandma's house because I was just so depressed all the time that I didn't know what to do. So my parents and my grandma were talking about sending me to rehab. Obviously, I was against it. I was like, no, 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 no. I don't need it. I can do it myself. Don't worry. And then I was at my grandmother's house trying to withdraw from alcohol because I just had enough with it. And no detox place, no nothing, no medication. All I had was just pot, and that's how I used pot to detox from marijuana, or I used pot to detox from alcohol, and it was probably the 3 most brutal days that I've ever felt in my life. Um, then after that, I finally, came clean that yeah, I needed help, and by the help of watching different YouTube videos on people's getting sober and whatnot, and seeing the transformations, I was like, okay, let me give this a shot. So I went in to another rehab facility, might I tell you. So this is my second time. Uh, I went there for about 32 days. Obviously, I graduated. No joke, just because, obviously I wanted to show my parents, blah, 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 blah. Got sent to a sober living facility down in St. Pete. And, I was doing good for a couple months. Got my job back, had a stable income. Parents were helping me out. At that time, I've been in the 5 car crashes, but I was fortunate enough to keep a car, or less I say, just, have a car at least. God knowing how. I didn't have a DOI. That's another story to talk about. But, me staying sober for those couple months definitely got me into the footing of what I could have become. Um, but instead, obviously, I wasn't doing the work necessary that the sober living facility gave me. So I decided, well, I don't need this. I don't need to go to, these meetings or anything like that, those AA meetings. And we'll touch topics on AA meetings. Just today, we're talking about experience, what happened, stuff like that. And yeah, decided to stop doing that. And then I moved out, went to an apartment for about maybe 5 days. And then 5 days afterwards was when I relapsed. And then I went on a 3 month bender. I think um, for me, my relapse always stems from Halloween. I don't know what it is with Halloween. It just makes me in the mood of drinking. So I relapsed for the course of, I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 months. Gained about 25 pounds, looked absolutely miserable, got fired from my job uh, because, obviously I wasn't making, because I was also working at a phone place doing sales over there. I was doing so well that, in fact, that I was able to get promoted as almost an area regional manager. But then, obviously, my drinking basically took that away from me, or should I say, I gave it up entirely. And yeah, after that, I basically had to give up my apartment just because I lost my job, so I wasn't making any income to afford a place to live. Um, and I think it was on the night of January. I think it was January 6th. No, it was January 7th. Previous 24 hours. So I was just in there, just doing my own thing. Obviously, just getting drunk off of vodka bottles, cheap ones. Might I tell you, it wasn't the nice, expensive ones. It was always cheap, just because I just needed a cheap way to get drunk. Um, for a couple, and what happened was that I got uh, again, I can always tell this story. What happened after that night basically was that I um got drunk, slept in the bathtub for about 2 hours. No one could answer my phone because obviously I was passed out in the bathtub. And what happened after that was I had gotten taken by the cops, or I had two welfare checks. First one, wasn't successful. They checked up on me, said, "Hey, you okay?" Blah 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 blah, and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever." And that, might I tell you, this wasn't from my parents. So my parents came in second. The first time was from one of my neighbors, which I did not even know. I guess I was just sporadic and whatever happened. I think I was just in a sporadic moment at that point. And then the second cop showed up and they were like, "All right, son, can we come in?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I mean, you don't have a warrant, but whatever. I mean, I don't know how this works anyways." Let them in, checked around. They definitely did see the bottles all over the place. And as they were about to leave, it seems like are you sure you don't want to go anywhere? And they're like, "Yeah, I'm good." And they're like, "Okay. Um, before we leave, can we see your hands or your arms?" Because I thought for a second they just wanted to make sure that I wasn't trying to cut myself or commit suicide, because I did threaten that I wanted to commit suicide. And they're like, "Okay, yeah, you're coming with us." So what happened after that point was they handcuffed me. Obviously, I was being sent to a psych ward under against my will. Um, and Yeah, got sent to a psych ward for about 3 days involuntarily. Seen some nasty shit in there. That was probably one of my darkest moments that I've been in. I mean, the other one was pretty dark, but this was probably my low, low bottom. And for the first 3 days, obviously, I sobered up. I was in a medical facility this time, so it wasn't like a rash decision. I wasn't under any pot or anything like that, like the first time. Um, and then after that, obviously, I didn't want to go back to my apartment just because of how depressing it made me feel. So my mom begged me or asked me if I was willing to go back to sober living. And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Obviously, I didn't want to go back into inpatient rehab just because I felt like, the first time didn't work. So, and also I didn't really want to do it at that time. Um, and then they found another sober living facility that had an actual program. First, I was hesitant. I was like, "Okay, I don't want to do this. I don't need it. I'll just do sober living, blah, 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 blah." And then obviously I kind of thought about it and I was like, "Okay, maybe this will help out." And I've been living here. I'm at the sober living facility for now 6 months. And if it weren't for that place, I would not be the man that I am today. Being on this podcast with you guys, I'd probably be out still drinking, doing the deed. Definitely not a good one. But yeah, I'm happy to be alive. Um, that's pretty much it from me. Um, I guess I can do your story. Um, if you want to go right ahead, I'll mute myself and just carry on.
You want me to
Oh
talk?
yeah, you go ahead. You go ahead. Yeah, make sure this thing is all set. Because it's back over here. Yeah, it's not like a normal one. Put it on your laptop if you want to make it even easier.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
So I guess our names.
You can say your name if you want. Here, let me stop real quick. You can say. Oh, am I still muted? Oh no. Mute, deafen. Hello, hello. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so you can say your name if you want. Obviously, just prefer what your username is, just so we keep things anonymous. But that's totally up to you.
Okay. Name. I guess I'll start off at the beginning. When I was very young, or drug related household. So I was exposed at an early age and how the time ever my mom was having a party with some and asked for something to drink because I couldn't make it to the fridge by people her and she gave me and I did not like the taste of it that I ever consumed alcohol. So I immediately just kind of ran off and waited for the party to die down. Forward to when I actually sought out alcohol, 18 years old, when I first really got heavy into drinking. I would friend come stay then was living up north. Do I need to move close?
Suppression that's doing it.
Turn that off.
Yeah. Try that now.
Hello. Can everyone hear me better? Should I re-say
You can
anything
you
that I
can
already
probably
said?
restart.
Time I ever came into having a party, a lot of guests that were kind of crowding in the fridge. So I asked my mom, "Can I have?" Handed me her glass of Chardonnay, and it did not like the taste of white. But that was my first time consuming alcohol. I sought out alcohol, being a people pleaser and trying to make others happy in order to find my own happiness. I had a friend over from another to my mom's liquor cabinet and started experimenting one night. Got really drunk and my friend was laying in a pool of his own puke and mom was pissed. You're gonna go